Hi guys, I actually wanted to do a very short, quick video before we actually begin. I wanted to talk about more of validation and security and how a remote server actually works. Because I was thinking of first-time programmers that are developing a online multiplayer game using this dedicated server. Their first questions to me were, hey, can you help me out with the security? I'm just afraid of security. How can I make it secure? I don't want the game to be hacked, or how does the validation work? I just want this to understand the security. Now, there are 2 points of security. Are you talking about the security of the game, the battle, or the security of your server? Now, you have to think logically of it. You shouldn't be that scared. As you set up your code, you will have a feeling of, okay, this is pretty secure. No one can hack my server. They don't have my SSH keys. They don't have the password. They don't even know the user of my database. You have to think logically about that. It's good to be worried, but let me explain the 2 differences. So first, the game, the hackability of a game and the server. So the game. Now, again, this is going to be a turn-based game. Turn-based game where you register, you log in, you are presented with a roster of characters. And now think about what could be hacked here. You just heard me say roster of characters. Now, what if your game had locked and unlocked characters? So imagine how the flow of the code is going to work. So you log in, you get a JWT token. Actually, oh, hey, I have it here. I just logged in, and it shows the JWT token that Strapi has generated for authentication. My user object with ID, username, email, if my email is confirmed, if I am banned or not, when is it created and updated. And I had already made the variables for how many wins I have, losses, what my level is in experience. Now, after you log in, you will be presented with a roster of characters that you can use. Now, as I said, what if right now all the characters will be unlocked, but what if there were some that were locked? Now, the flow of the code is you click on a character and you hit search game. So what does this mean? The socket will send the search game event to trigger on the server with this authentication code. This JWT token will tell the server, oh, hey, player 1 or John or Sarah sent a request to start the game with the character of ID number, 3. Now, there will be some validation. One of these validations will be, does this John user have the character of ID unlocked or not? If he sees, oh, this guy doesn't even have that character, so he's trying to spoof the network, then he will be flagged, and the admins will then check the admin panel and see, oh, this guy was trying to hack the game. That's not good. But if everything is fine, if you have it unlocked, we can continue putting you actually in the queue. Now, that is one point of hackability of the game. The second is, now if you're in the battle, and this is the battle screen, let's see. Now, there are some typical things, like your health, your mana pool, and the cooldown, and what the skill actually does. As I said, you're going to be able to click a skill. It will be used on a character, and your turn will pass. It will not be a crazy complex game. You're not going to have a team of 3 or 4 characters. No complex mechanics. It will be very simple. But we still have a cooldown and a mana cost. When we send the event will be called, send turn. The data that we will be sending is, which skill did we use? Skill ID. Well, we're not going to be sending the ID. We're going to say the first skill of this character. Now, if you had multiple characters, you would also have to say which character's first skill you used. And if he had multiple targets, we would also have to send which enemy we targeted. Now, we will be sending this message to the server, and the server will see, okay, cool, but I want to. Is the first skill on cooldown or not? Okay, it's not on cooldown, so we may proceed. Do we have enough mana? Yeah, we have enough mana. We can proceed. But then, is the enemy vulnerable to magic attacks? Maybe she's invulnerable to magic attacks. She's not invulnerable. Okay, we can now trigger the take damage function on this enemy. So, by the way, the take damage function, you might realize, like, this is actually just like coding a game in Unity C#. You're going to have a class called character, and Sarah, the mage Sarah, will be instantiated using that base class, and that base class has methods: heal, take damage, become stunned, or etc. Now, we have forgotten about a couple of validations. What if the person tries to spoof? Now, let's say skill 2 is on cooldown. You try to use a second skill, it will check for cooldown, okay. But what if if we had sent IDs of skills instead of the slot position of the skill? That means we could, so let's say this is ID 1, skill ID, 15, 16, 17. What if we sent ID of 25, a skill that we don't absolutely have? Well, then we would have to validate that too, but we're going to be using slot positions. I remember a game actually did that. What happened was very bad coding. You could spoof and send a whole different ID from a skill that was not even in the battle, and it would still be used. Now, another validation is maybe let's say, okay, you have a mana pool, and the mana is 20. So you already know in the server that once a skill has successfully been used, your mana pool of 100 will become minus 20. We will do 100 minus 20 will become 80. But then you want to be smart and say, hey, what if I turn this into minus 20? So that would be 100 minus 20. You would have 120 mana. So you also have to check if it's a negative number or not. But why are we even checking? If, we're not actually sending the mana cost, we're not sending the cooldown, we're just saying, hey, I just want to use the skill of slot number 1. The server knows, this skill, it has 20 mana and 3 cooldown. You're not sending any other data, you're just sending the slot number. The server has the battle state. The most important part to understand is the server knows what to expect, so he knows what to validate. He knows what to expect, so he knows what's wrong, what will be wrong. So we are going to say this character triggers skill slot number 1, and the server is like, oh, hey, that's the magic wand staff. But now there's another thing. The server will also know, let's say if you use a buff skill that halves your mana costs. Now the server will read that too because it knows the state. Oh, hey, first, let me check. I'm going to have to use a skill. Let me first go through the buffs on this character and see if it affects the mana cost. Oh, it halves the mana cost, so we will have to deduct 10 instead of 20. Now, that is a bit more complex mechanic, but as I said, that will be for a different course. We will make a badass complex game in another course. In this scenario, in this course, we will keep it basic, with basic skills, as long as you understand, hey, we're going to use sockets to make the front end talk to the back end and vice versa. And we want to be able to play a game. And if that works, everything is validated, everything is secure, we're done with the battle. Now, yeah, you could also be concerned about the server security, but that is up to you. Yeah, I need to have a good password. We are going to use SSH keys to validate our connection from our local machine to the server. And that's just, if you have used GitHub before and cloned with an SSH key, you already know how that works. Postgres will be living in Docker as long as no malicious person has access to your server with SSH. Don't use password, use SSH. Then you have nothing to worry about. These data breaches that happen from time to time, they happen due to phishing mostly, or hijacking a cookie. You just have to be careful about that. I really suggest to do development on a completely different machine, on a professional environment, and do not mix private matters with business matters. That's, I believe, how you can stay the most secure. And just use your intelligent mind. Don't click on random things in your email. Now, this is what I wanted to quickly show you and talk to you about the security. I wanted it to be a short video, but I couldn't. So I'm sorry about that. But now, for real, this time, I'll see you in the next video. We will be starting to install the software that we need.